Don't forget folks, before we go any further, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, ring the bell and all that jibber jabber, and thank you very much for supporting Invincible Asia. Originally created as the next Bruce Lee film and the third project between the star and director Lo Wei after The Big Boss and Fist of Fury, A Man Called Tiger would soon find itself in a spot of bother when the pair fell out after the latter. Interestingly, it is said that A Man Called Tiger originally started life under the title of Yellow-Faced Tiger, yet Lo Wei would go on to make a film of that very same name soon after, starring Don Wong Tao, which would go on to be more widely known as Slaughter in San Francisco, the film that was often thought to be another project that Wei had initially created with Bruce Lee in mind. So, with Lee having left A Man Called Tiger to make his directorial debut Way of the Dragon, Golden Harvest and Lo Wei had to think quick in order to keep things going, and soon remembered that they had the OG Kung Fu star of Hong Kong cinema on their books, the great, late and incredibly entertaining Jimmy Wang Yu. Launching his career at the Shaw Brothers studio just less than a decade before, the controversial star had quickly become one of the biggest names in Hong Kong cinema, with roles in films such as Magnificent Trio, The One-Armed Swordsman, Golden Swallow, Return of the One-Armed Swordsman, and The Chinese Boxer, his directorial debut, which would be his last for them. After a run of independent flicks, including Satoichi and The One-Armed Swordsman, The Magnificent Chivalry, The Sword, and Furious Slaughter, Wang Yu would join forces with the new Golden Harvest Studios, making the fantastic Invincible Sword and the incredible self-directed One-Armed Boxer before starring in A Man Called Tiger. Clearly taking it easy after starring in 12 features over 1972, this would be the only one of 9 productions Wang Yu would star in 1973, along with the Golden Harvest produced, Lo Wei directed Seaman No. 7 and The Tattooed Dragon, as well as the awesome Beach of the War Gods, of which he also directed.
Why are you involved with gangsters?
So I could gain their trust.
But why?
To find out why my father died.
Everyone said your father was a thief.
Not to be tied down to any particular studio, Wang Yu would go on to work with Golden Harvest and Lo Wei at different times throughout his career, with A Man Called Tiger proving to be one of their most exciting. Here, Jimmy plays the hero Chin Fu, the Golden Tiger, a suave-looking James Dean 007 type character who joins a Yakuza gang in Japan to unravel the truth about the gangsters who were behind his father's murder. Crossing paths with new allies and enemies on his journey, as well as a bevy of women, Chin Fu finally comes face to face with his father's killer in a fight to the death. Shot in and around beautiful Kyoto, Japan, the film proves to be a very stylish affair, with its colourful costume choices leaping off the screen, which often comes across very similar to the many popular Yakuza and Italian gangster movies from this period. Respectively, Jimmy Wang Yu quite possibly looks the best he's ever looked, sporting a new suit in almost every other scene, while his co-stars come across as some of the best dressed thugs ever seen in Hong Kong cinema. These are highlighted even more so through the lens of the talented Chris Chen Ching-chu, the same cinematographer who captured Lo Wei's biggest hits, The Big Boss and Fist of Fury, and after this would go on to work with him on titles such as Back Alley Princess, Kung Fu Girl, The Killer Meteors, A Queen's Ransom, and Half a Loaf of Kung Fu, as well as Keen Hu's The Valiant Ones, Joseph Ku's World of Drunken Master, and other Jackie Chan projects such as All in the Family, 36 Crazy Fists, The Young Master, and Dragon Lord, also known as The Young Master in Love. Once again, the great and prolific Joseph Koo composes the score for the film, while the equally talented Peter Chung does a great job with the editing. Interestingly, this would only be his 7th film as an editor, after starting his career in Golden Harvest with Lo Wei's very own film The Hurricane and Fist of Fury in 1972. Classics such as Lady Whirlwind, One-Armed Boxer, Hapkido, and Way of the Dragon would follow, with Chung going on to edit most of Golden Harvest's most well-known action films, including those from Lo Wei and Jimmy Wang Yu, as well as the biggest hits from Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and others.
Jimmy, what the hell?
fun cast joins Wang Yu on screen, such as Japanese actors like the lovely Okada Kawai, who also starred with the legendary Toshiro Mifune in Red Lion, Nakako Daisuke from Fire and Law, the X from Outer Space, and The $5 Billion Legacy, Kashihara Reiko from films such as Island of Horrors, Gamera vs. Sigra, Lone Wolf and Cub, Baby Cart at the River Styx, and Female Prisoner Scorpion, Jailhouse 41, along with Kuro Mitsuo. They're joined by Hong Kong stars such as the prolific and great Tian Feng, who stars as one of the big Japanese baddies. Of course, Feng had starred with Wang Yu in his earlier Shaw Brothers hits, and would be recognisable to many as the master of Jackie Chan in The Young Master. The brilliant James Tien stars in this umpteenth Lo-Wei feature as Jimmy's old friend who gets to bust some moves and looks good doing it. Although he was initially supposed to be the leading man of the big boss, Tien's role was quickly sidetracked and rewritten to allow Bruce to show his stuff. Unfortunately from there, James Tien has never really found his way back onto the path of leading man, and has starred in a host of classics over the years as a co-star or bad guy, including a few more with Jimmy Wang Yu, as well as Hand of Death for John Woo, Iron-Fisted Monk for Sammo Hung, The Fearless Hyena and Dragon Fist for Jackie Chan, and many more Hong Kong classics alongside the biggest of stars. A host of other Lo-Wei regulars co-star throughout, including the often hilarious Lee Kwan, who appears here as the nightclub manager where Wang Yu often resides. Although his comedy is kept at a minimum here, Kwan still entertains and is always a joy to watch. He is aided by his big boss and Fist of Fury co-star, the beautiful Maria Yi, who would go on to star with many of the cast members here in Wang Yu's Seaman No. 7. Director Lo-Wei himself appears in yet another obligatory role, and fight choreographer Han Ying-che also stars as the tough as nails right-hand man who takes offence to Wang Yu creeping in on his gang. And finally, eagle-eyed viewers should keep an eye out for a young Lam Ching-ying, Chin Yut-sang, and Luke Chuen, all of whom no doubt aided Han with the great action seen on screen. Together, they deliver a host of exciting rumbles that sees Jimmy Wang Yu lash out in street fights, bar fights, restaurant fights, office fights, and much more. Highlights for action fans can be found in the opening fight scenes that see Jimmy Wang Yu use a belt as a nunchaku long before Jet Li could be seen doing it in the awesome Fist of Legend, and later again in Hitman. Then there's the epic showdown in an abandoned factory between Wang Yu and fight director Han Ying-che, with both actors displaying some strong brutality and fun moves. That same fight soon makes its way onto a moving cable car as our hero gives chase to some of his minions, predating a similar scene from James Bond's Moonraker by about 5 or 6 years. It's a pretty exciting showdown that sees our hero plunge from a great height into the lake below before reappearing to swim away, although odds are it was a cleverly filmed shot using a weighted dummy as champion swimmer Wang Yu lay in wait. Then, of course, there's the grand finale that sees Jimmy Wang Yu and James Tien unleash fury in a private gambling den as they go up against an army of axe-wielding gangsters, eventually moving onto the rooftop where an injured Wang Yu goes one-on-one with his father's killer. It's a fight that cranks the brutality up a notch and, in true Jimmy Wang Yu style, doesn't fail to entertain right down to its final moments. Of course, this all depends which version you're watching, with the heavily cut 79-minute export version proving to be the most accessible in the West and missing a chunk of action, especially that of Wang Yu's fun introductory scenes and opening fights. Now though, thanks to the stunning restoration released by Eureka Video, the full 112-minute uncut Hong Kong version is finally available for all to see, delivering over 20 minutes of extra drama and action, which helps make previous plot holes a little more understandable. And while the film itself and actions on screen show shades of Bruce Lee elements throughout, it's hard to imagine what would have been had he went ahead with it. But as it stands, A Man Called Tiger is absolutely a Jimmy Wang Yu movie, and in terms of his modern works, is definitely one of his most entertaining pieces that's worth checking out.